record on this computer. There we go. So do we want to go through and do introductions?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Looks like we lost Dan. Maybe he got moved to the other room.
Huh. Give it another minute.
Do you have the goals set up somewhere?
Down
They
there.
are here.
I was trying to get them on my other screen, and they came out kind of fuzzy in the preview I had.
Yeah. They're not the best resolution here, but I'll have to zoom in. So if you want me to buzz around to something specific, let me know.
While we're waiting, I want to congratulate David Jolly on his recipient of the 2020 Citizen Leadership Award from the International Economic Development Council.
Congratulations.
Even the canine support, yeah.
Right. That's great.
Sorry.
Will, you got everything under control?
Well, we haven't really started yet. I'm just sort of waiting to see if we have more joining us or not.
I think there were 2 more people that haven't responded to their request to join. But the other group is starting to work on stuff, so.
Okay, we'll get going then.
Yep, cool.
So let's just go around. We have a small group. We'll do introductions. You all know who I am because I introduced myself at the beginning. I'll turn it over to Kate.
I work for DPS as well. I'm an urban planner here with Will and Katrina. And my name is Kate.
And Jennifer.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Maddox. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I am an architect at Decker Perry Sabatini in the housing group.
So Jennifer really knows housing well, so we have her here on as a resource for housing since that's very relevant to White Rock. And maybe move to Ryan.
Rin, I'm the chamber director here for Los Alamos and White Rock, the county. And I have lived in Los Alamos for 22 years.
Wow. Welcome.
Thank you. Delighted to have you guys.
Will, 1 second, sorry. Could you stop the recording?
I did.
Okay, awesome. Sorry. I'll be
And
quiet.
Dave?
Okay.
Yeah. David
there's two
Jolly.
Davids.
Oh, sorry, Dave.
Oops.
Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, so I'm Dave Schifferl. I'm a retired lab scientist. I've been on various county boards, capital improvement project board about 10 years ago. I'm on the T board right now. And David Jolly and I are both on the tourism task force implementation. You can say it right, David.
The Tourism Implementation Task Force. And I'm
Okay.
David Jolly. I'm on the Tourism Implementation Task Force as well. Also the LACDC board and Main Street. And I'm the general manager of Metzger. So I have a dog right in the middle of this fight.
That's right.
You dogs.
So what we'd like to do is, since we're doing this virtual, if we were all in person, we would be standing around a bunch of exhibits and inputting our ideas and trying to figure out how to connect a specific place with a specific idea. But since we're doing this virtual, this is how we're trying this out. And so we have this thing called this Miro board, and it allows us to manipulate and to make changes in real time And so Kate is going to be the primary driver that tonight. And so we're going to listen to what you say and then try to illustrate that on this aerial of downtown White Rock.
Sorry, can I just chip in? I'm Laura McDaniel. I didn't get a chance to introduce myself.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you on the screen. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I have my camera off. I think there's a few others too that have their cameras off that might want to introduce themselves.
Absolutely.
So I'm the director of Los Alamos Main Street. Like David and Dave, I also serve on the Tourism Implementation Task Force, and I've lived in Los Alamos for about 9 years now.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Lauren. And who else do we have on the line? All right.
Looks like Annette unmuted her microphone. I don't know if she's trying to speak, but we don't hear you, Annette, if you are.
I just started right now. My name's Annette.
There you are.
I am the transit manager. I'm really here to just listen and kind of see where this is going, but I'm the transit manager for Atomic City Transit and where transit's going to fit in this whole scheme of things.
Hi, Lauren. I just wanted to say really quickly, you're in good company with us being fans and proactive on Main Street. Will, Kate, Katrina, and I have all been on Main Street boards at one time or another, and I am currently on the Nob Hill Main Street board here in Albuquerque.
That's great.
Yeah, we love Main Street.
Yeah. So,
And then it looks like we have, sorry, Will, it looks like Anne is the one that is not on her camera right now. She wants to introduce herself.
okay. Take it away, Ann.
Maybe. Maybe she is
The floor is
muted.
yours.
not at her computer. Well, she can interrupt and introduce herself if she comes along.
All right. Okay. So we'd like to take a few minutes and do a bit of a bubble diagram and identify a few things. Identify some key assets, kind of revisit that center of gravity concept, look at areas for redevelopment or catalytic projects, and appropriate areas for specific land uses. So can you all see the aerial here? Dave.
Yeah, I can see the aerial, but I'd like to know a little bit, I'm new at this, so I'd like to know a little bit more about the ground rules. So for instance, there are some major issues that we have to think about here all the time, like water. We don't want water rationing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And water is all, Farmington has stage 1 water rationing right now. All right, so
yes,
it brings it home. We have to be very careful about evacuation routes, not only within White Rock, which is bad, but from White Rock, which is worse. And I've been through 2 evacuations, year 2000 and 2011. So, and nothing moves. So we want to be very careful about bringing extra people in. And I don't know how that fits into all this, but if we, but maybe you can tell me in a minute. And then finally, there'll be some permanent changes. We don't quite know what they are, but there will be permanent changes because of COVID-19. It's going to go on for at least a year, and that's going to change things.
Yes. So all great
So I
point.
hope I'm not out of order, but
Nope, there's no out of order here at all. You know, and sort of designing at this scale requires an ability to kind of synthesize a lot of different ideas and to also assume that some of these issues are going to get resolved in other ways as well. And I'm not trying to, so I think we keep them in our minds as we're going through this, but I don't want to have that be the driving force in terms of like evacuation, because it seems like we have State Road 4 there. which seems like would be a major, I have not looked at evacuation routes, but it does seem like State Road 4 is, I would guess, a primary evacuation route from White Rock.
Okay, let's not go, I don't want to take up more time on that right now.
Okay.
But those of us who live here will understand the problem really well, and that'll be in the back of our minds.
Okay, that sounds good. Anyone else? David?
Yeah, if I could start with just a couple of points, looking at the map right here.
Yeah.
The first one would be, I see kind of a front and a back there. And when we're talking about commercial and retail, the Highway 4 visibility is extremely important. Whereas towards the back, which is more on Longview, in that area, I would see more as a residential opportunity, because I think when you put retail off the beaten path, it tends to die, especially in a community like White Rock, where there's already a shortage of population. And the other is, as far as the center of gravity goes, in the map right here, I see Bonneview right in the center, and it's also an area that needs attention. Again, commercial and retail towards Highway 4, moving back towards more residential in the old kind of Longview area. But those 2 points, I think, as a starting place, seem logical to me.
So, and let me ask you about State Road 4 and retail, because it seems like from the prior plan, the White Rock master plan from 2008, that they were really almost envisioning that as the main street through White Rock. And I'd like to get, especially having Lauren in the group, whether there's that sense that State Road 4 is a road that you try to line with shops like you would on a main street, or whether it's more like, hey, State Road 4 is always going to be kind of this major conduit through the town, but you're not going to, if you have stores along there, they don't necessarily have to be right up against the road like you would be advocating for in more of a Main Street concept. So I'm trying to explore that whole idea of, like your store, David, Metzger's, it's along State Road 4, but it's not, it has a parking lot in front of it. It's sort of more of a classic retail kind of car-oriented design, I would say.
Yeah.
In terms of, it's like,
I think,
yeah.
I think 2 things are important. The first is visibility, and the
Absolutely.
best visibility in town is either Highway 4 or Rover.
Yeah.
And as far as moving off of Highway 4, again, I think if you developed it right, Bonneview would lead you into a kind of commercial area. But the way it is now, at least this is me, and I'm not from here, so I don't know what it was like in the day, but you have to drive around to the back side of Smith's to get to that Longview, which was envisioned as kind of a walkable retail town center kind of area.
Right.
But you have to know it's there, and people don't remember. So I think Bonneview fronting on Highway 4 is an opportunity to bring people back into a commercial area. Otherwise, the big shame is that shopping center at Rover in Highway 4 is the most visible corner in town. And because it wasn't successful, it's gravitated to offices now.
Right.
And so that's a wasted opportunity in my mind.
And if I can jump in, I echo what Dave's saying. I think visibility is key here, especially when you're capturing the visitors that come through White Rock on an annual basis. They're going to be looking for the businesses that are immediately visible to them. So, Pig and Fig is front and center right now if they're looking for a place to eat, because it's right across from the visitor center. So I think if we can bring more of the retail opportunities and restaurants to State Road 4, it's going to be better for everybody in the long run, because they're going to get more customers from the visitors that go to Bandelier as well. It's not to say that we can't also develop in other areas, but I do see State Road 4 being kind of the the center of the Main Street community. And there's
So-
other Main Street communities in the state that have state roads going through them. The New Mexico Department of Transportation is looking at that right now and studying those communities. And, you know, they've talked with some of us in White Rock about pedestrian safety and walkability. So I think it's definitely doable.
Great. And so do you think it's like really between Sherwood down to Bonneview? Would we kind of consider that the bubble area for retail? Or does it extend all the way past Metzger's?
I think that area is probably the right area that you're looking at. I think Dave wanted to say something too.
Oh.
Yeah. So the State Route 4 and Rover is a really good place for retail. One of the problems that the county has to solve, and we can't solve tonight, is the lab eats up all the useful retail.
Yes.
And so one of the issues is if the lab is there, you just aren't going to get the retail. That's quite apart from all the other issues that you've talked about with supporting retail in today's world.
Yeah.
I take one exception to that. The reason the lab occupies that space it was not successful at retail. And it was empty storefronts that was converted for that purpose. All through Los Alamos and White Rock, that's part of the dilemma we have, kind of like a chicken or the egg thing, that we want to open up retail spaces, but we have to have viable retail to fill those spaces. And that's one of our challenges.
And one other point about the frontage on State Route 4. One of the reasons that Metzger's is successful on State Route 4 is that during rush hour, you can get to Metzger's from other parts of White Rock without touching State Route 4. So it has, it's a series of parking lots that serve as kind of a frontage road.
Mm-hmm.
And since I live here, I've used that more times than I can count.
Uh-huh. That's a great insight.
It was designed that way because all of that is shared space one way or another through easements.
And how has, are you seeing any impact of the influx of the 250,000 visitors to Bandelier and the visitor center on that retail area along State Road 4?
We actually do. We get a good bit of RVers. We have repair parts and that kind of thing. We have the propane tank out front that does refills. So that is something that the campers use. We have people come in because of the lottery sign. And a lot of those people are traveling through. It's because we're visible from the visitor center. And also, of course, they tell people what we've got when they're asking, but also it's easy for them to leave the visitor center and find us. And again, Lauren said this a few minutes ago, people at White Rock are going to learn that we're there. People driving by on the way to Bandelier are not.
Right.
So that's kind of, again, that's important to anybody that wants to rely on that kind of traffic. We get a considerable, I mean, not a considerable percentage, but as far as incremental business, we do quite a bit with travelers.
Nice. Dave?
So I've talked to Laura Crusay, who owns the Pig and Fig restaurant on the corner there.
Mm-hmm.
And so this year is very different, but last year, because the Bandelier buses stopped right across the street, she basically had two lunch hours. One was the regular one, and then there was another one, and she actually put on extra staff at that time.
Wow.
And it was a substantial part of her business. I think I know the numbers, but I'm not sure I should say them. But anyway, it was a very serious chunk.
That's great. It's a great restaurant. I mean, it is amazing how you get an establishment like that and it just transforms people's image of a place too. So
Another case for redeveloping State Road 4 as the main street district is we already have some great assets there already. We have great Native American pottery along State Road 4. We have great trail right there that encourages walking, and it's offset from the street slightly. So yeah, just wanted to mention those two things.
Great. And do you think, Lauren, about the other side of State Road 4? Because I know we're focused a lot on the south side, but do you all see improvements on the north side of State Road 4 as well?
I don't know if I have any specific comments on that right now. It seems like most of our activity as of today is on the south side, but I think successful Main Street districts build on both sides of the roads.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I think what we're supposed to do, according to our schedule, is talk about circulation a little bit and any potential changes to the circulation in the area. And I know a lot of this is set, you know, you're not going to change Sherwood or Rover or probably even Bonneview. What about Longview? Do you see an opportunity to realign Longview?
I've heard comments from people that it needs to be done. And I don't really see it clearly on this map, but there's one part of that that actually splits, and the logical road is actually a parking lot.
Right, like right here, right through here.
Yeah. And I don't know about getting specific, but I think all of that needs to be looked at. The whole transportation infrastructure there. I'll take the opportunity to make a point that Dave did. As you get towards Highway 4, that whole area is designed to approach from either the back side or the front side. And I think maintaining that's important. But when you look at Longview, I think you need to look at that as one big parcel, and then what could be done to maximize the use of that. And the road should be just whatever turns out to be best.
So maybe I like that. Dave?
Yeah, so about 10 years ago, when I was on the Capital Improvements Committee, we had looked into designing, completely re-envisioning Longview. And it was more or less along the lines that David Jolly just said. So I think that's a good idea. The particular plans ended up not being fundable, and we don't have to go there. Part of it was a library, and then they did something else with the library, and it turned out great. So,
so Kate, can you kind of just create that potential link across Longview there?
So we're thinking like
Just
through here?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's what you had, David.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And how about on the trail system? Are there any really, major breaks or connections that need to be made?
I think they fixed most of those up. They've been working on that for quite a long time, and they've done a beautiful job.
Yeah, it seems like it's a pretty good network.
Is there a pedestrian connection across State Road 4 from the north to the south? If there were planned development on the north side, could you easily walk across it?
We're kind of relying on Sherwood for that, I think, one way or another.
Yes, I think that what will happen at Mirador there is that a light will be installed there, and there'll be a pedestrian crossing there. There is a pedestrian crossing at the visitor center, Jen, now. And so I think there's ongoing discussions with NMDOT about how to what to do with that. But yeah, crossing State Road 4 is a major barrier because you can see the that footprint for the multifamily and the mixed use at Mirador. And so there's that, along with all the new single family residential over there. There's going to be a lot of people that want to get across State Road 4 to other amenities on the other side of the road.
That's what I was thinking in that survey that we took. A lot of the green pins for potential residential development look like they were being placed on the north side of State Road 4. And so if we're talking about a lot of the commercial and retail development on the south side, we certainly would want to strengthen that pedestrian connection.
Yeah,
To
absolutely.
make it
One
family
thing they've
friendly.
done is they've put in traffic islands.
Right.
So
Right,
that
with
helps
that-
a lot for pedestrians.
Yeah, because it's a fairly wide street to cross, and cars are not going that slowly. So,
That's what they've got at the visitor center. And that could be turned into a Hawk intersection. Of course, it's not very far from Sherwood. And the problem is, short of an overpass or an underpass, in the afternoons in particular, which people might be wanting to walk, there is so much traffic on there, you're going to aggravate that by the amount of time you have to signalize a walk signal. I get
Right.
that in front of Smith's in Los Alamos now.
right. Yeah. And I know that's like an ongoing, I think sort of figuring out how to balance that mobility issue of getting cars through there with access and pedestrian access. That is one of the keys to success in downtown White Rock.
No, thanks.
So it's encouraging to hear, Lauren, about the discussions with NMDOT, and I know they're working on those prototypes for state roads that go through downtown areas like this. So I'm encouraged by that.
There's
Right.
also,
They're doing a survey right now of those communities, and I think the results should be available later this fall as well.
That's great.
So there's also long-term plans, maybe I should say dreams, and I turn this over to David and Lauren McDaniel to make a bridge over to Buckman Mesa, but I don't know much about it. That would certainly alleviate a lot of the traffic going through White Rock, but it may be a pipe dream. So Lauren, David?
I think it's a pipe dream.
And I think, Rin, you are on mute. I think it looks like you were trying to say something, but I think you're.
No, I was telling my husband I didn't want dinner yet. Thank you.
Oh. Well, you'll probably take that drink already, so.
Yeah.
I think a bridge sounds like a great idea. Let's put it in.
Regarding the traffic on State Road 4, I think if we come up with a plan to recruit business activity to the area, traffic on State Road 4 will actually help with business exposure. So maybe that's not a terrible thing as, this area gets redeveloped and we pursue economic development strategies to make this more of a downtown area. But I see your point, Dave, at the same time, Dave.
Well, I think two things I think are good signs are parking shortages and traffic, because it means that there's a lot of people that want to be there. So I know it's a bit of a glib answer, but it's sometimes those are better problems to have than the fact that there's never a backup of traffic and there's always parking spaces, because that means nobody's actually using the businesses. So
Actually, that doesn't apply to State Route 4 during rush hour.
yeah. So I think what we'd like to do now is, we didn't really talk about residential. What do you all think about residential and more residential in downtown White Rock? And where would that go?
I see the potential for higher density along Longview, frankly, again, on that backside, because I don't think that's viable for retail.
Yeah. I don't think it's viable for retail either. I think, and I know that if it had been an easy problem to fix, it would have been, or an easy product to develop, it would have been done some time ago. And I know there's some real underlying issues there, but it does seem like that's a great place for more residential.
Affordable housing is always top of the list here in our community as well. Short-term rentals are in high demand with students that come here for a few months for the lab. And so I think that could be kind of a prime area that could possibly be redeveloped for that purpose as well.
But speaking only for myself, I would not like to see 4-story buildings on Longview, or even 3. I think 2 stories probably max. Lauren, David?
I don't see what you're missing view-wise. I live over on Azure, which is down Rover, and this area is so flat that there is no view from here. So I don't see what you're missing by going up. It's not like you're right on the edge of the mountains. That's in the middle of town, and there's trees all over town. So I don't really think you're looking at a viewscape that you would destroy.
I agree with that, but I'm more worried about the congestion, especially parking congestion.
So it's not so much views.
It's
Not
density.
More.
I actually think that's the perfect place for higher density because it is close to Highway 4. You've got multiple routes to get there. So the amount of space it is altogether, I don't really see that would be a problem. They could look at that. I don't know how many people you could fit in there in even like a 3 or 4 story building.
You could, well, we're gonna do a little exercise in terms of footprints here and start to get a sense anyways of what you could put in here. So, and Dave, just to one of your first points about water, higher density housing uses a heck of a lot less water per capita than the single family subdivision that predominates in White Rock.
Good point.
All right. Anything else? Any other kind of, I mean, I know we didn't talk about Rover and over in that area, and I know it's a tough situation when you have paying tenants in a established development, and you're not gonna, if you're the owner of that, you're not gonna knock it down for something that might be better than that. So is there anything there at Rover that you think is possible or even if not possible in the next 5 years, but somewhere down the road?
See, that's very difficult. The question is what can you put there? Assume that the lab didn't have any space there. What can you put there that is economically viable? There are very few things that can compete with the internet. So pet store maybe, but you gotta, and the numbers you gave earlier about the number of households for viabilities of different businesses. There's very little that you can put there. So
you could do housing there. You could do more housing, but I mean, and I don't, I think that I'm not trying to advocate for one thing or another here at all. I just feel like that's a prime corner, and so you got a gas station, you got a shopping complex that's really an office complex now, and it's tough. It's a tough situation.
If you could attract something like a CVS or Walgreens, if that is viable in a population of this size, that might be the best route to go. And then kind of redevelopment around that might be partly office space.
And
but anchored on the corner with something like that.
Let's just say parking, that we could solve the parking issue, David. Do you think a CVS there between Metzger's and Speedway would work?
Now, I don't think that CVS would build off the corner.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They'd want to tear down the speedway, but if you look at the building beside us, and then the front end, and I don't want to displace anybody of the shopping center, that space would be ideal. And like Dave Shervill said, it's accessible from everybody. I think in that area, of course, I say they would want to tear down Speedway. That Speedway is at the end of life anyway, as
Really?
far as infrastructure goes. So, put everything on the table.
So maybe and Kate, I think it's time to pull out the footprints.
Sure.
So maybe let's just, these are just colored boxes. Let's look at putting something on the corner of Rover there to replace the gas station there. So I think a commercial pad site.
You could also will consider maybe something mixed use.
That's what I was thinking too, because you were talking both about residential and about retail. So maybe something that just draws more people, but also has that residential component right there.
At the corner there?
No, just along Rover.
So where are we talking, people? Hey.
Maybe back from that a little bit.
Back that way, you mean?
Yeah.
There's also a bigger footprint for mixed use that we could find a place for.
Okay, we can change those footprints, like make them smaller.
Yeah, this won't be correct anymore, but
Yeah.
we could do that.
That commercial pad probably needs to be, what, about 20,000 square feet with parking?
Yeah, that should be bigger. That should be, let's say it's a Walgreens, that's in the 15 to 20,000 square foot range.
Could
So-
double up on it. Make it
Mm-hmm.
about that size.
Yeah.
I'd give it one more, Kate, and then I think you're gonna have to move that mixed use.
But it can go all the way to the corner.
Yeah, you can nudge that up to that dash line. Of course, they're probably not all
And I think
anchored together.
reducing,
So maybe you'll talk about this later, and sorry if I'm jumping ahead, but I feel like what's really missing in White Rock right now is kind of a center gathering place or plaza, if you will. Right now in Los Alamos, that center has become Ashley Pond, and people, go to Ashley Pond, and then as a result, they frequent the downtown businesses. They grab lunch, and then they go sit by the pond to eat. I know in White Rock, we will be having the splash pad, which could be considered a gathering spot, but that's not in the right area, unfortunately.
Right.
It's going to be over by the library.
Right.
So where
And that's only a few months out of the year too.
right. But I think the plaza, or whatever you want to call it, it kind of needs to be the foundation for everything else to build off of, just in my opinion.
Oh, I
Yeah, and I
think
like it.
you hit the nail on the head. What was that, David?
That's why I like it where it is right now, more or less in that area.
Where that plaza icon is?
Right. If you look at that whole area, and the configuration, I don't know how exactly it would work, but that's why I think Bonneview is just sited perfectly there. And you have the plaza with commercial businesses around it, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
And
So do
highway
you,
forward on the edge.
so could we say that, because didn't I hear that Rigoberto's closed? Is that one of the restaurants that's just closed or not?
I
No.
think they're struggling.
Yeah. Okay.
Timeout Pizza is probably the place that you're thinking of, or Little Saigon, but Rigoberto's is there. They just opened up a few years ago.
Okay, right.
Put it there. This looks like this is vacant here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and where do you think, Lauren? You think we're close or?
Yeah, I think it has to be in that area.
Uh-huh.
I think that's close. That's the right area. And I don't know what it looks like, but just a place
Right.
for people to gather. Maybe it's just picnic tables with umbrellas, but something, you know, if there's grass and greenery, it makes it even better. That's why I think the Ashley Pond is so attractive to a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, let's,
It would be
yeah, go ahead, Katrina.
It would be nice to anchor that with like some kind of either like micro commercial development or some like higher density housing or mixed use or
I
something.
think that's retail there. I think that is totally the micro retail, Katrina, like you're.
Yeah, think Town Plaza, the old square that you have in the Midwest. Think of it that way with something around it that's all, think about the plaza in Taos.
Yeah,
You know, something like that, not visually, but as far as a space where people come together and then the businesses surround it, and it would be your micro businesses here. And that's where everybody would get. Ashley Pond and 20th Street in Los Alamos.
So that new block you just put in there, just west of the little plaza, that would probably be the ideal place for a tourist-oriented store. And it could be for the locals and tourist-oriented. I don't know how you do it. And David would know better than I would about whether you'd make any money. But
you don't have a
that
brewery
would be
yet.
the ideal place.
That's
A
right.
brewery's good if you can do it.
Yeah.
And the
And
trail, I
maybe-
can walk home from there.
And Kate, maybe you can keep the plaza space you have in the middle and replace the one along Bonneview with more retail, more commercial.
One of these.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So, and I know this is not our, you know, if we were doing this by hand, we would be more fluid about this, but we're trying to get close to some idea here, and then we'll refine it later.
You're doing fine.
To Katrina's point, you know, I think there still could be housing maybe on a second story in that area as well, because people love to live down where there's action. So if there's retail on the first floor surrounding the plaza, I think second floor could be apartments. I think that would be a great use of it.
Yep.
Do
Whoa.
like the live work.
Sorry, I just heard a loud sound outside.
Oh. How about the live work option? 2 stories, and it has, I think, 4 units of living above the commercial.
Yeah, something like
On the
that.
trail.
Magic markers would be easier.
It would be a lot easier. Well, and maybe look at the live work. What about the whole Longview area? You know, what? I know, because I know we're going to start running out of daylight here, both literally and figuratively, but
Looking at that area, one of the needs we have is a nice place to house the older population so they can free up their single family homes.
yeah,
So if we, the list you had was townhomes or garden homes
yeah,
to apartment, and those kind of uses, I think going back to Longview would be more suited. Of course, apartments are denser, so you'd have to kind of make a pick and choice. But I think if you think your target is going to be older people who enjoy being able to walk to this commercial area in Smith, and you pull them out of other housing options in Los Alamos, then that's kind of the direction I would go back there.
and I
You want to be really careful though about how many stories you put older people in. One broken
Right.
ankle, and you can't get to your second floor apartment.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
That's why garden homes wasn't on that list. That, and that may be too land intense for this area, but that was really popular in Alabama.
What was that?
Garden homes for the senior
Yeah,
community.
yeah. Garden homes would make that actually a nice area.
Can you kind of line up some townhomes along our new alignment of Longview there, Kate?
We can do that.
What about Bonnie View? Could the road like be realigned to like be pulled through straight, or is there too many obstacles with the arroyo and stuff in between?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I've walked that area like for decades.
Yeah.
I think there are too many obstacles. I mean, for one thing, there's buildings there, but we can
Yeah.
ignore that. I think the arroyo actually kind of kills you.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
so.
Is that too many?
Well, it's a good
We-
start.
Okay.
Going over the existing condos.
Yeah, you might, yeah,
Oh, right here.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're all existing residential. Actually, there's very few of the existing residential in White Rock there, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
and really-
yellow blocks what are the yellow blocks?
Those are townhomes.
They're townhome,
So they would be 2-story,
two-story.
probably.
Single family, two-story built apartment or building or whatever you want
Yes.
to call it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a little bit more dense, the multifamily behind at 2 or 3, or maybe even 4 stories. But 3 would probably be fine.
You don't
Yeah.
have the parking. If you have more than one vehicle per family,
Yeah,
you don't have parking for it.
For the townhomes, you're saying, Dave?
Yeah, for the orange ones, multifamily.
yeah, that would have to be figured out. Like you would be restricted probably by some of the parking requirements in how much you can put there.
Yeah. And we would,
Basically, I think that's it right there.
I think it's too dense. When you
Well,
consider-
I mean, you'd have to figure out the details.
Of
Yeah.
course. I'd cut out half the multifamily though, realistically.
it might end up only being half that amount anyway. And I,
But we can stop here. I understand the general, sort of the general 300,000 foot view.
yeah. Any
What about-
Rin or Lauren or anyone else, any comments on it?
Well, I keep coming back to just to the right of the yellow and orange blocks, maybe making that into some sort of plaza, but I think it's because of what is existing there right now. It almost looks like it's a plaza there. I think up on the highway is a better idea. You're going to capture more of the people that come through there.
Also, the existing sort of circular development that's to the right of the yellow and the orange. What's between the yellow and the orange is the back of all those buildings and the semicircle. So,
Okay.
so it doesn't invite to a plaza at all.
Okay.
Good
But they
point.
could maybe be something in between the townhomes and the multifamily. If the middle row would have to be taken out, you could maybe have like a linear park or something.
Mhm.
That's,
Right, which you would want to have anyway with multifamily development. I mean, I think even leaving the middle row of orange multifamily is a good thing because you'll have a placeholder for the amenities. Often it's green space or a pool or playground of some
Playground.
kind. Yeah, like that all comes with not just parking with multifamily, but all of the amenities that you'd want.
Yeah, and your plaza
Associated
could
with them.
come, your plaza could come further back to like the Arroyo. And then you've got a couple places still in the middle there that you could stretch you've moved Longview, so you could stretch on, what is it, the north side of that in between there and the Arroyo into more mixed use or townhouse development.
Yeah, with all that vacant property there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think yeah, you could do some multifamily in there too, I think, because that's really in the core. So,
And the walkability of this whole area is really great. And that kind of denser housing there, I mean, you're close to 2 different elementary schools from there.
yeah.
As an amenity, you could have a walking loop just right around all of the multifamily and townhouses here to connect everything. So you have some more of that pedestrian circulation that supports the family living.
Well, there's already all those paths that go through right there, right?
Right. Yeah.
And where you just put that new orange block, you could
Yeah.
conceivably build a small bridge, walking bridge across the Arroyo. That would be really helpful.
That'd be cool.
The
Over
other
the
thing
brewery.
is about the schools are all really up in the air. Pinion and Chamisa, which are way off of this map, you can't see them, are both up for renewal, especially Pinion. And one of the problems with the current state law is that they plan around the existing school-age population, not the obviously, and this is state law, this is not our fault.
Yeah.
So that the whole Mirador subdivision is not included until it's filled. So the school thing is going to be very, very different.
Yeah.
Our state representative is working on getting that law changed, but stay tuned.
We've seen that chicken and the egg situation in a lot of our projects here. Yeah. So Katrina, when are we supposed to go back to the other group?
I think so. Jessica was asking for a little more time, so we have at least like 40 more minutes, and maybe what I
We
would
have 40 more
propose-
minutes. We're done by 8 o'clock. But you mean total? Like, but don't we
Yeah.
want to come back together, look at both the schemes and
Yeah,
And,
initially we had, let me look at this really.
we were
had,
at 7:10.
7:30 was our time to like get back together with the larger group. I think we can spend a little more time looking at like maybe the area behind Pig and Fig.
Let me ask one other question first. Right above your pedestrian bridge, what are those dark red in between there and the plaza?
That's a micro commercial, so it's like
Okay.
the container type stores and
Okay.
350 square feet.
Your brewery, the brewery that you asked for?
Yeah, okay. I can get that.
Yeah.
And it might get flipped and where that micro commercial has really got the better visibility along State Road 4 and we integrate the plaza with that and
Yeah.
we're getting them closer.
Yeah.
You've got all that to bring traffic off of Highway 4 into the plaza, and then you're surrounded by all these opportunities.
Right.
I think could we move that, the mixed use closer to State Road 4? Does that make sense to have more of that retail development kind of built right off of Main Street? Rather than tucked back behind.
I think it
This
makes sense
one,
to move the
the
micro commercial and then move the plaza sort of a little off of State Road 4.
Back
Yeah.
so that it connects from Bonneville. You can
Yeah,
see it from
that's
Main
where-
Street,
Yeah.
but is access from Bonneville?
Yeah.
That's where a magic marker is better. You can draw it out a little bit.
Will that block visibility to the plaza area though, with the micro commercial going up closer to the street? Will people be able to see the plaza area?
I don't think you would be able to see it, would
You
you?
could make a break in those buildings so that there's a
Yeah.
Yeah.
wide walkway, maybe wide enough for tables and chairs or something.
Yeah.
And then you could see it from the, yeah, like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah, that's better. Mhm.
The way you notice in this map that we're drawing that the new area that we're developing here is still cut off by the arroyo from Smiths. Now you can go down Bonneview and then go up Longview, but there is no easy driving. There is very easy walking.
Right.
And in fact, you could even add an extra ped bridge. So it would be sort of behind Smith's, right under the pottery thing. Yeah, that's it, right in there.
So, and the other thing I was just noticing is I know that the community has developed some landscape along State Road 4. Like that little park there. What do you want to do with that?
I think we want to extend that back into the commercial area, just where there's opportunity.
Yeah. But keep that developed landscape right there along State Road 4 that you have now.
Yeah, I think people like that mature landscaping.
Yeah,
I think that should anchor what we add to it.
I
I
agree.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I think we're supposed to summarize the strengths and weaknesses of our concept here. And we need one of you fearless community leaders to present this to our group, to our report back.
I would like to defer to David Jolly for that.
Yeah,
He
he's
did
like
just
a
win the
citizen
leadership.
leader or something, so.
I am good with that as well.
I have a conflict of interest, though. So I think maybe Lauren should do it.
What's there on the other side of Rover? All that white gray area there. Del Norte Credit Union. What's on that side?
That's opportunity.
It's opportunity.
Del Norte owns that property, and I know of one person that tried to go in with a commercial project that Del Norte declined to sell the property. So I actually think we might need to start putting pressure on them.
Hmm. So,
Do we put a building there?
yeah, we can put a little mixed use. How about, yeah, copy that.
Yeah.
Flip it over there.
I don't really like the term "put pressure on them." Is there some way that we can reword that?
Well,
Come up with a partnership or.
That's already been attempted. I think
Okay.
we really need to look at our options.
Do we know why they didn't want to sell?
No, they didn't say.
Okay.
Was it something reasonable?
I think so.
Yeah?
I have a question.
It's
So-
also an existing business that's going to leave town because of that.
Oh,
Yes, Denise.
Oh, so I'm sorry, I tuned in late. I had a board meeting. What are we doing in this group?
We are developing we've had about a 40-minute discussion, and we are playing around with how new development could be infilled in White Rock.
Oh, okay, great.
In the downtown area. So we have scaled dimension footprints that represent various product types, from housing to commercial to mixed use.
Okay.
So, and we're getting close to kind of trying to summarize what we have here. So it's a good time that you came in to kind of get the overview. What would be strength of our plan here? How would you characterize that? I mean, I would say our residential is that we have a strong residential component to the plan. I think we have an interesting mix along State Road 4.
Oh, you've created a space for people to meet and to join and to join together and to walk to the businesses down there. You've created placemaking space.
Placemaking anchor to
Mhm.
a commercial.
Nice.
So is
Yeah.
that the green area that I'm
Yeah.
seeing?
Yeah,
Plaza.
little plaza area.
Okay, and it looks like you've created access from State Road 4. I see a green.
With that
lane.
green space, yes. The idea is to at least have a visual break so that you can see into the plaza area from State Road 4.
Okay,
And Denise, we're using Bonnie View also as the access. So visually it goes to
Bonnie
the
View,
highway,
okay,
but also Bonnie View is the route in.
okay.
It also wastes a lot less land than we do now.
Oh, that's a great point.
We bring more commercial to State Road 4 too, not just an interesting mix, but more visibility to commercial for people that travel to our community.
Yeah.
It's actually potential commercial because, but let's not say that publicly.
Right, it's all potential.
I really like the strength of integrating a traditional plaza with the commercial spaces supporting it. I think that is something that a lot of your tourists going to Bandolera or going through on State Road 4 would expect in a very traditional New Mexican community. So I think that's a nice add.
I agree.
By the way, just as a point of information, this is probably not quite as pipey a pipe dream as that bridge I mentioned. New Mexico 126, going up to Cuba. It has 8 lanes of impassable. It's a New Mexico scenic highway with 8 lanes of impassable mud road during the muddy season, and there is some slow motion to improve that road. In fact, David Jolly and I wrote a letter to our state senator about 1.5 years ago, trying to do that. We've been quiet during COVID, but there are some plans, and that would make a huge difference to the eventual viability of any businesses along State Route 4 that depend on tourism at all.
Have you guys been hanging out with that other Dave?
Dave Fox, yes. All 3 of us wrote the letter, actually.
Yeah.
Dave,
I'm
too.
gonna come back to this and say one of the advantages it takes advantage of what I think are the logical, more or less existing routes across Highway 4, so we don't have to complicate that anymore. At Sherwood and at the Visitor Center, without adding 1 or 2 or 3 more places to need to cross the road. It's all
Yeah.
right there in the same area.
Well,
They're
I
not
guess
existing.
I guess we're quite a ways ahead of the other group, I'm hearing, so.
Yes. The other group is just starting to place buildings. So
We're ready to start building buildings. We're not.
yeah,
You ended up with the movers and the shakers in this group, obviously.
Yeah.
Tell them we're gonna have concrete poured before they finish their plan.
We're gonna have that bridge done before then.
That's right.
yeah.
Right.
Maybe we just have to add some of you guys to the other group to like get them moving a little faster.
And Denise, the bridge she's talking about is the bridge to Buckman Mesa. That one. Which we all agreed was a huge pipe dream.
Okay.
Just
Well-
about the last point, I think also the pedestrian crossings across the arroyos, I think are a nice element of this plan because we're considering current residents and their accessibility, not just visitors.
Right.
Yeah.
So since this group is ahead of the other group, can you fill me in on what things you've put in there? So what are the orange and yellow blocks down at the bottom there?
Those are residential, so they are representing multifamily, and then the smaller ones are townhomes.
Okay.
So we might have gone a little overboard on the multifamily, but they're not that big. 36,000 square feet. So
And we're
So-
also
And
not
that's
actually
that's
listing
the
it.
old, that's the Longview.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Old Plaza.
yes,
Straightened Longview, you see.
Yes, I see it. Got it.
Will made the point that the exact details of housing density, which we had some discussion about, are things that we'll be taking up later because as realism, when you get into the design details, that's when you can get more realistic.
yeah.
And what about parking for these dwellings? Would it be underneath them or built in?
It could be built in, it could be underneath, it could be that we would accommodate it in surface parking adjacent to it. So,
Okay.
so that's why we haven't quite done the math yet in terms of the parking ratios for these and what that area would cover. So maybe that's what they're
picture
working
stuff.
on the other one. What did you say, Jennifer?
Park. I said it's big picture stuff,
That's right.
That's right.
high level.
But we will figure it out.
Yeah,
So
we will.
it'll be considered.
This is to give us
And
a
then some
sense of
of
a starting point. Go ahead.
Denise, some of the other components, did you some of the other ones, there's the plaza, and then around that is some micro commercial units, kind of just off of State Road 4 to support that. And then there's some commercial pads and then some mixed use that are planned for off of,
Rover.
what is this?
Rover.
Rover.
Oh, right there is Bonneview.
Rover Boulevard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rover and Bonneview. We're trying to add a little bit more commercial or mixed use opportunities along those access roads.
So David's not here for the moment, but David Jolly made a point, Denise, that the red blocks on Rover and State Route 4, say commercial,
Right.
those would replace the Speedway. He made the point that the Speedway is on its last legs as far as infrastructure. Oh, there he is now. David, can you make your comments about the Speedway for Denise?
Yeah, and
Speedway and then the replacement, and in fact, that whole area there.
yeah, on Speedway, I don't want to make anything sound detrimental about Speedway. But when we were in the gasoline business, the state environmental inspector talked about the infrastructure at that station is past its useful life. And so at some point before too long, something will have to happen there. It could be like what happened at the Smith Station in Los Alamos, where it just is redeveloped by Speedway. But that's an opportunity because that building and the tanks and everything underground are going to require attention in the not too distant future anyway.
Okay.
Just don't mess with the White Rock
No.
Oh,
You have mutiny on your hands.
I know that.
That's right. You know, the actual white rock is about 1 foot in diameter. The rest is paint.
there's a piece of gravel left over. The mixed use around that is just opportunity. That's not, I would say we need to contemplate telling Roger Waterman that he needs to do something, but you know, it was an opportunity if it arose.
Yeah. Maybe you can scooch that mixed use there a little back, Kate, you know, get it off that road there.
This one?
Oh, sorry, the other one, the 28,200 one. The one, no, the other one on the other side of Rover. Yeah, that one.
Scoot it back like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Actually, if you flip that and move it up,
Flip it around so it's a,
Yeah.
you're covering up CenturyLink and
there you go.
There you go.
yeah.
That's better.
Yeah.
So the commercial use where the Speedway is interesting, but I have a feeling residents would not be happy about losing a gas station. It is convenient to have them down here. Because we do have the one across the street.
But this one is much more convenient.
Right.
Yeah.
It's also not enough property. You know, that may be something else we need to look for as a community. That, you know, the Speedway station is kind of a relic, and I'm sure that the land ownership is a problem there, but that would be a good point. To bring it down to one gas station in White Rock might be problematic.
Mm.
You
So,
might think about keeping a gas station there. And David is not going to reopen Metzger's gas station.
Never.
Mm.
Is there another place on the other side of Highway 4 anywhere available land to develop something like that?
I don't know of any other places for it.
What about over by Mirador? I think there was a plot that was going to be deemed retail, I believe.
Right.
You're right on.
Well, I wouldn't want to put a gas station in there.
Yeah, next to.
That would be horrible.
What about up at Pajarito?
The top of the hill?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know about ownership or anything in that area.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't either.
I think it's outside of our study area. So sure, we can put a gas station up there.
That's what we need to do.
It is the nature of gas stations, at least, that you don't need any of these other amenities that we've been talking about for other businesses.
Right, and people
Nobody
get
gets out of a gas station except to fill up gas or maybe make a quick run into the convenience store.
Right.
Yeah. How's the other group doing, Katrina?
They're a little slower. I think you guys are still ahead, but I told them that in 10 minutes, we are meeting back, and that was about 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, tell them to wrap it up.
yep, I told them.
Did you tell them we have things under construction already?
Yeah. I did.
By the way, while we're waiting for them, is there anything here about utilities that should be part of this plan? For instance, one of the lacks we have in White Rock that could certainly be solved in this downtown area, which we haven't discussed, are things like high-speed internet to the outside world, and also high-speed internet within the area at least. And so I'm thinking of both fibers and wireless. And what we've just designed could accommodate that fairly nicely. And I think that would be a positive point that we might want to add, that it's compatible with high-speed internet.
Yeah, we've heard that loud and clear.
We have high-speed internet along Highway 4. We have the fiber for that because we use it. Wireless and that kind of infrastructure, especially around this plaza area, would be important.
Yeah. What's our weakness? We're too fast?
Our weakness is we started construction before we did the zoning.
We forgot.
A very important point.
We haven't really addressed anything on the north side of the road. That's one thing, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what are some options on the north? Do you guys see some really viable spots that would be ideal for residential maybe, or mixed use?
It's all
Footprint?
A19A all day, all the time. So there's not much else over there that's zoned for residential. You know, you got the visitor center and you got the fire station.
And is that all the land that we have access to? That's a question I don't know the answer to.
We don't have any, we don't, where the other shopping, for the other gas station is Indian land, so that's
Right.
I know there were conversations about pulling together a food truck park in a plot by the visitor center, actually. So maybe.
Right where the bus stop is,
Yep.
the visitor center, in the parking lot there.
Nice. That sounds great.
Yeah. Actually, a food truck parking lot would be a nice idea.
Cool.
And if you have that pedestrian walkway where you could go from the residential on the south side to the food truck area, that would work. Your bridge, that's where you need your bridge.
Right. You know, one thing,
Pedestrian crossing near the visitor center as well.
Yeah, there's one right there. Yeah.
Dave Sherrill mentioned a bridge to Albuquerque, so I'm just going to mention an overpass from Mirador that could be done architecturally so that it didn't have the impediments of slope and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Take a space from somewhere up behind the shopping area in Mirador that meandered over the highway and came down closer to our new commercial pads and plaza. Because when I was in college at Southern Illinois, we had, I don't know how long that bridge was, but to cross the highway, we were in the air probably 3 times as long before we crossed the highway as we were crossing it. But it made it a gentle slope on either side, and people actually preferred it to the direct route across the highway. If you could design it in such a way, it would get a lot of use. It just couldn't be a straight up and down kind of thing.
So you're talking about more diagonally over the road over to like basically the other side of the Arroyo.
Yeah, and making it an architectural feature
Mm-hmm.
opposed to just an overpass.
It's just a line on a piece of paper. We can do it.
Speaking of pedestrian crossings, now that I'm looking at the map too, it seems like we would need one also up a little bit closer to the plaza, because if people are, buying food at the food truck, you want them to be congregating and going to the plaza, not have to walk one direction only to walk back the other direction, right? So maybe
Yeah, and it should be anyway, because that's where the bus stop is.
right.
So move it further east.
Right.
I think you're just talking about a ped crossing though, right? Not a
Actually,
Right.
ped crossing.
Just the other side of that driveway.
What did you say about the driveway right here?
Right there for the ped crossing.
Okay. Looks like there's one here, so maybe it'd
Yes.
be better to be a little further down.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, it needs to be further down.
Oh,
And you can move the food truck closer to it.
Right. Shift that over.
I
Did you,
really like
with-
David Jolly's long, sloping, no steps bridge.
We'll
It's
see what we can do.
Yeah.
It's only money.
That's right. Hmm.
Did you incorporate charging stations for electric vehicles?
We would definitely, it's a little too detailed for us, but we
Oh,
would
okay.
definitely consider doing that in all the development. And that's something that could be a consideration in our zoning update as well, where you have a requirement for charging stations.
Well, we are gonna close the rooms, so it's gonna be 30 seconds until we join up with the other group.
Okay.
Righty?
Thank you, everyone. It's been really, I thought we had too much time for this, but I think it was just about the right amount of time.
Yep.
I think we got a lot done.
Yeah, we did. Thanks, everyone.
David, are you going to be a representative?
He has to be.
He's a citizen leader. He's got this.
I agree.
He's already like in there. He's ready to go.
Right on.
All right, 25 seconds. You guys still can
And
Fill the
stand
bird.
up. Oh,
Stretch. Any more weaknesses?
we're too good.
It's perfect. It's too perfect.